Good morning. Beginning with the third session on the poem The Tiger by William Blake, let us look at the critical analysis of the poem. The Tiger is a poem by visionary English poet William Blake and is often said to be the most widely anthologized poem in the English language. It consists entirely of questions about the nature of God and creation, particularly whether the same God that created vulnerable beings like the lamb could also have made the fearsome tiger. The tiger becomes a symbol for one of religion's most difficult questions. Why does God allow evil to exist? At the same time, however, the poem is an expression of marvel and wonder at the tiger and its fearsome power, and by extension, the power of both nature and God. It is also a romantic poem, to some extent, written by the pre-romantic William Blake. The tiger is a symbolic tiger which represents the fierce force in the human soul. It is created in the fire of imagination by the God who has a supreme imagination, spirituality, and ideals. The anvil, chain, hammer, furnace, and fire are parts of the imaginative artist's powerful means of creation. The anvil is the iron block on which the hot iron is placed and then beaten with the hammer. The imaginative artist is synonymous with the creator. The man with a revolutionary spirit can use such powers to fight against the evils of experience. So the God creating the tiger can be interpreted as any of these creative agents which inspire common men to free their minds, hearts, and souls from the chains of social falsities. The king, the priest, the landlord, and the systems that eat up the individual's potential. The creator has strong shoulders, that is energy, as well as art, that is skills, and dread feet and hands. His courage is supreme too. His creation is fierce, almost daunting himself. So must be man's spirit and imagination, or the poet's. The forest is the symbol of corrupted social conventions and that tries to suppress the good human potentials. Potentials means talents and possible skills, abilities, in other words. In the poem, night stands for ignorance, out of which the forest of false social institutions is made. Similarly, the context of a person asking questions and getting puzzles at the tiger symbolically represents the final beginning of the realization and appreciation of the forces of his own soul. This individual will then begin his personal spiritual revolution. The poem is taken from the Songs of Experience, which means the adult world of corruption, immorality, and suffering. Passing through the first phase of innocence, or the pure child's-like world or mentality in Songs of Innocence, and then having experienced the opposite world of experience, the speaker in this poem has begun to recognize the suppressed power of his soul and realize its necessity. He is himself puzzled at its fearful faces and begins to realize that he had gotten not only the lamb like humility but also the tiger like energy for fighting back against the domination of the evil society. The qualities of the original and pure man must be freed by using this tiger like force of the soul. Blake's imaginative man or creative artist is a rebellious being. It also represents the double potentials in any human being. Themes. Thematically, the poem is intended to make us to witness the persona realizing the potentials of his soul and to realize it ourselves. We have not only the lamb, that is Christ, like humility, but also the tiger like quality for spiritual revolution and freedom from falsities. The unusual spelling in tiger is also a hint of the special meaning and emphasis as the unusual stresses. The use of the first stanza as a refrain, repeating it with the difference of one word, that is dare, at the end is also for special emphasis on its symbolism. Readers who have learned some of the private symbols of Blake can only understand this poem. But it is not too difficult after we get at the basic symbols. The themes of existence of evil. Like its sister poem, The Lamb, the tiger expresses awe at the marvels of God's creation, represented here by a tiger. But the tiger poses a problem. Everything about it seems to embody fear, danger, and terror. In a series of questions, the speaker of the tiger wonders whether this creature was really created by the same God who made the world's gentle and joyful creatures, say, like the lamb. And if the tiger was created by God, why did God choose to create such a fearsome animal? Through the example of the tiger, the poem examines the existence of evil in the world, asking some question in many ways, asking the same question in many ways. If God created everything and is all powerful, why does evil exist? This is the base question. This is the crux of the whole poem. The speaker tries to reconcile the tiger's frightening nature with the idea of a loving God. But its attempt leads only to a series of seemingly unanswerable questions. The tiger is presented as an impressive figure and seems to be part of God's design for the world. It burns brightly and has a symmetry, a quality which Blake often associates with beauty and purposeful intent on God's part. But that symmetry is also fearful. The tiger seems designed to kill and inflict pain. In other words, the tiger behaves in a way that seems counter to God's laws and ethics. The tiger's association with fire, burning brightly for example, underscores this point. It is visually impressive but dangerous to get close to. The poem then meditates on the specific moment of the tiger's creation, when thy heart began to beat. It questions God's motivations in making the tiger, even considering the possibility that it wasn't actually God who made the tiger. The speaker struggles to understand how a God that made the small vulnerable lamb, vulnerable means tender and to some extent weak and open to being hurt. How the vulnerable lamb could also choose to make a being that would surely eat the lamb given half a chance. In other words, the speaker struggles to understand why God would create something that seems to have destruction as its very purpose. The poem leaves this line of questioning unanswered, though the questions are themselves made very clear and stark. Stark means plain, without any decoration. They are essentially handed over to the reader to consider. The speaker doesn't know for sure why God has created something that seems evil. However, by detailing the tiger's fearsomeness and by directly comparing it to the innocent and gentle lamb, the poem hints that perhaps both creatures are necessary parts of God's creation. That is, perhaps the majesty of God's work requires these kinds of oppositional forces. By giving the tiger the same kind of consideration as the lamb, the speaker suggests that without fear and danger, there could be no love and joy. Opposites run throughout Blake's work: innocence and experience, the city and nature, childhood and adulthood. And so the tiger and the lamb can be seen as part of this pattern. In order for God to fully express His divinity, He has to create elements of the world that go beyond the understanding of humanity. God proves its power precisely because He acts in ways that humanity cannot fully comprehend. Comprehend means to understand. The poem then is a deeply complex set of questions that have no easy answers. There is no doubt, though, that the poem wants its reader to consider the way in which the world seems to contain both good and evil, to acknowledge these contradictory forces and question why they exist, even though the answers may never be clear. The theme of creativity. Though the tiger is specifically about how the nature of God's creation can be reconciled with the existence of the fearsome tiger, it's also about creativity more generally. Everything about the creation of the tiger suggests effort, skill, and artistry and imagination on the creator's part, suggesting that these qualities are necessary to create anything as frighteningly beautiful as the tiger. What's more, the speaker also hints that good creation, in art for example, needs to incorporate this more dangerous and intimidating side of the world. Without that complexity, the poem suggests a work of art be fully honest and authentic. The poem is itself, of course, the product of intense creativity. Blake revised and revised this poem, trying to pin it down to the exact form that best embodies its complicated questions. This artistry is mirrored by some of the word choices made throughout. For example, the framing of symmetry, lines 4 and 24, suggests a visual artist or engraver, like Blake himself, making sure the proportions of a project are correct. This type of language, which characterizes creativity as both effort and skill, is also found in the third and fourth stanzas. The fourth stanza in particular describes a metal workshop where beautiful things are made under intensely hot and pressured conditions, like the beating of iron, hot iron, with a hammer. Along these lines, it's also important to note the way in which the creation of the tiger is consistently linked with fire. Indeed, the tiger itself is a kind of fiery creature, testament to the intense imagination with which it was created. Imagination itself is characterized as a kind of fire from which things can be created if the creator is brave, strong, and skilled enough. There may even be an allusion to the Greek myth of Prometheus here, who tricked the gods, stealing the fire and giving it to humanity. Prometheus is a character, is you can say a god from the Greek pantheon of gods. You will find his name in Greek mythology. However, Prometheus was not rewarded for his ingenuity. Ingenuity means cleverness. Instead, he was condemned, punished to eternal punishment. The imagination of the poem ultimately suggests is the location of a miraculously but dangerous kind of creative strength. That's why it takes bravery, the willingness to dare, as the poem would put it, to create anything of any worth out of the fire of creativity. This interpretation of creativity certainly rings true with the story of Blake's life. For all his commitment, effort, and genius, he was thought of more as a madman than a visionary during his lifetime. The tiger's symbols. The first symbol is the tiger itself. Like the lamb in Blake's poem of the same name, the tiger represents an aspect of God, whereas the lamb seems to suggest that God is loving and tender, in line with the idea of a fatherly God overseeing his flock. The tiger speaks to another side of God's character. The poem gently suggests that God created the tiger, but it also allows for the possibility that it was Satan who did so, as one of the fallen angels that line 17 might be describing. Either way, God is ultimately responsible since, excuse me, in the Christian tradition, God created heaven, earth, and hell. The tiger is therefore symbolic of God's ability to be violent and frightening, traits which seem to be at odds with the Creator who made the small and vulnerable lamb. The tiger then also represents the unknowability of God. In other words, God is not easily understood. Humankind can love God and be in awe of His creations, but it can never hope to fully comprehend the way that God operates within and conceives of the world. The tiger is ultimately less about actual tigers or other specific frightening things, and more about all the large concepts that humanity finds it difficult to comprehend. God created the world, but the world is full of suffering, pain, hatred, and violence. The tiger thus symbolizes those parts of God and the world that humans struggle to reconcile with their idea of God. The symbol of fire. The poem picks up on the visual appearance of the tiger, its bright orange striped coat, and associates this with fire. This helps to characterize the tiger as dangerous and destructive, and to generally create a tense atmosphere throughout the poem. But fire also represents the imagination, both of the ultimate creator, that is God, and of more humble human artists and craftspeople. The imagined creator in the poem literally draws the tiger from the fire, which is presented as the kind of necessarily harsh and pressurized environment from which something as majestic and fearsome as the tiger could be made. The implication here is that true creation requires bravery, that is, a willingness to put a hand into the fires of the imagination and make something or create something. The symbol of fire shows that the poem holds the creative act in high regard. Finally, fire may also symbolize a connection to hell, distant deeps in line 5, or Satan in the poem. The speaker suggests that God created the tiger while also leaving open the possibility, particularly in line 17, that Satan was the one responsible for the tiger and perhaps for evil more generally. Notably, however, this fire isn't presented as a wholly bad thing, even if it does come from hell. Instead, it is shown to be a necessary part of creating something as darkly wondrous as the tiger. Through the images of fire as a productive force, the speaker suggests that even if evil forces like hell and Satan do play a part in shaping the world, they are still components of God's larger plan for creation. The symbol of industrial tools. The fourth stanza is the only one in which the speaker imagines the tiger's creator using tools. The ones described are all industrial tools, which allows the stanza to build the noisy and fiery atmosphere of a metal workshop. These tools symbolize a certain type of creativity in which skill and vision alone are not enough. Rather, the creator also needs willpower and bravery in order to build meaningful creations. Additionally, the hammer, chain, furnace, and anvil are all distinctly industrial as opposed to, say, paintbrushes and canvas. This choice of symbols evokes the Industrial Revolution, which was at full pace during Blake's lifetime. If the tiger does represent a kind of evil, then perhaps this moral judgment extends to the practices of industry too. However, the poem resists such conclusive interpretations. Rather, this symbol seems to showcase the way that artistry, ugliness, and danger all exist in close proximity. That's all in this session. In the next session, we will look at the poetic devices, etc. Thank you.